You're about to see a series of dramatic reconstructions of serious rail accidents in which S&T staff lost their lives. These reconstructions are based on the available facts, although in some cases, nobody will ever know exactly what happened.
Well, it was 5 to 7. I was in bed. I was awake because I was expecting Brian home, and the doorbell rang. And I just thought it was strange because Brian always knocks the back door. Otherwise he's frightened of waking the kids up. And before I got out of bed, I knew Brian was dead. I knew it wasn't him ringing the bell.
The sleep, maybe I'll last an hour, and then I'll suddenly wake, and all I see is how I can only describe as a big yellow dot coming towards me. That's all I see. I don't... It's just a big yellow dot, I think I remember all the time. And then I have to get up. I'll walk around, pace about, and until I can get it out of my mind. And then I'll try to sleep again. But it's very, very hard. It's very hard to forget.
For S&T, the 1990s started tragically. 6 staff were killed while working on the tracks. It's hard to believe that these accidents could happen, but they did. What we have to do is learn from these tragedies and make sure nothing like this ever happens again.
Well, on that morning, Alan's team were faulting on the Woking district, and they got a call from Woking Box.
Hello, S&T, can I help you? I have a blank aspect out on WA488. Yeah, we'll sort it out. Thank you very much.
Sorry I'm late. I had to catch a train today, mate. Yeah, you're here just in time. Come on, we've got a signal for. Let's move. Right. Come on, Chuck.
They got away from Woking, and unfortunately, they went to the wrong place in the first instance. Was it Maybury?
WA488. Well, where the hell is it?
Then they made another mistake and went to the bridge at Byfleet, which was the wrong one.
Grab that.
After they clambered down the bank at the bridge at Shearwater and walked to the signal there, which was the wrong one.
Bollocks, it's the wrong one as well. Look, we're going to have to try the signals on the platform, all right? Look, it ain't far. Look, Sam, you grab the van, all right? Drive it down to the station and we'll meet you there, all right? Okay.
They decided then to send Sam back to Byfleet with the van and that they would walk back. So the remaining 3 walked back the track towards Byfleet Station, wondering where the hell they were really, beginning to get quite disorientated. And they arrived at West Byfleet Station to find that they were still in the wrong place.
Oh, I don't friggin' believe it. It ain't this one either. Well, I'm bugging if I know where 488 is.
So the 3 walked back the track and met Sam, who was coming down the platform. And I believe he saw a train on the up local, which was far in the distance, which he considered he was safe from. And he waited for the passage of a train on the up fast. He then walked behind the train on the up fast and straight into the pathway of the train which is going on the down fast. So he didn't have a chance. He didn't have a chance.
The incident commenced about 20 to 4 in the morning, when the signalman was obviously wanting to have an intercity train from the sidings into Liverpool for one of the early morning starts. Now, coming out of the sidings, there is what is known as 2 crossover roads, which also pass under a rather wide overbridge. And the signalman, of course, tried to get both crossover roads. He got one crossover road, but couldn't get the second one. His first thought was to ring his colleague at Liverpool Lime Street.
Hello, Lime Street. It's Ed Gilbox here. I've lost 245s in reverse. I've got flashing out of correspondence. I've got 509 standing at 135 waiting to get off.
But he goes through the procedure then of telling the control that he needs the fault team up to come up and have a look at these particular points. And sure enough, this must have been about 3:45 time now, and within 2 or 3 minutes, the fault team were turning out in their van to come up to Edge Hill. And the fault team arrive right behind the signal box. There's an area behind the signal box where they can park their van. But in the meantime, unknowns to them, the signalman has got his points. They go through the bridge, underneath the bridge, to the points where the signalman said he couldn't get detection because they know the layout.
Well, this end looks okay. He's got them reversed and locked. It must be the B end.
So having seen one end were fitting, they must have decided then to walk to the other end to see were they all right. The driver, having had the signal cleared for him on the intercity empties, just dropped down very slowly, as this was an accident at just barely 10 miles an hour. Then we know, of course, at the same time as he was coming out of the sidings, and of course this is where fate falls at times, we have 2 on-track machines. Of course, they're usually fairly well lit, there's lights around them, they're very noisy, and of course the driver of the intercity train dropping down would not be using any amount of power, and of course with the on-track machines at that moment passing, we can only assume that that drowned the noise or anything of the train suddenly coming on top of the men. The type of locomotive the driver was in, the cab, was fairly high up. He said he felt that he heard something metallic.
Throwing a rubbish over the bridge.
Those on-track machines went into Edgehill Station, where they were crossed back out again by the signalman. The leading man in the leading unit, he saw what he said he thought was a bundle of rags. They had to reverse now into the sidings at Edgehill. The supervisor dropped off and walked across to have a look. The signalman now, still not aware of what had happened, and the points still being laying towards Liverpool, allowed Reg Fletcher on the second train of MTs for Liverpool to be cleared and for him to drop down towards Liverpool.
The next thing I seen was the supervisor of the temper machine put his hands up. So I slammed the brakes on, skidded to a halt, and I seen 2 bodies and one very badly injured man in the middle of the track.
2 men apparently were already dead. The third, I understand, died on the way to hospital. And that just about sums up an accident that took about 20 minutes from start to finish, with 3 men dead at the end of it. And of course, it naturally has its effect on people who see this sort of thing at close quarters, and particularly drivers.
I felt very upset. Really upset. That, you know, you say to yourself, was there something you could possibly have done? But You know, I mean, I must admit, I went home, I just sat in the chair and I was crying for about an hour, 2 hours.
We arrived on site, then we walked out on a site to do our work, carrying a ladder and 2 tins of paint, which is a undercoat and a finishing paint. We got on with the work, and when it was time for lunch, we walked back along the track. We walked over the bridge.
I'm going to go back.
Then we had our lunch over on the drain just over there, as it happened to be a very fine day. Barry walked on ahead of me. I was just packing away my lunch bag. We had to climb over a stile. And I saw Barry walking in the forefoot. And I was just about to mount the steps, and I saw this train coming.
Barry! What's that train?
I said, Barry, look, there's a train coming. Get it out the way. And he tried to ease himself up on the parapet.
Barry! What's that train?
He had tried to sit on the centre parapet of the bridge and was either sucked or possibly his coat was caught and pulled him into, I think it was the 3rd carriage of the train.
Barry! What's that train?
Then after the train had passed, when I tried to look for him, I shouted Barry, and
Barry!
of course I saw no
Barry!
sign of it. Next thing I saw a shoe by the parapet.
As the immediate supervisor, I had to come to the site. I had to identify the body, assist with the clearing of the body from the site. He had virtually -1 foot, and he had just been disemboweled. Some slight markings around the head and face.
Well, it's affected me very badly, and I still got thoughts of it now. I still think of him. I mean, he was a very devoted husband, and he'd often spoken well of his wife.
How old is Harriet? She was 10 months last Monday. She'll never know her dad. Never. Only what we tell her.
I got no normal detection and 845 points out.
Patex. Yeah? Yeah? Yep. Sorry, lads. We haven't got time. 845 points have failed.
Come on, then. Anyway, this looks disgusting.
I made Ryan sandwiches, and he played football for an hour in the garden, and then with Jack, he went to work around about 5 o'clock, and that was the last I saw of him.
Is this the nearest access?
Yeah, I reckon so. We'll have to get this sorted quick. We'll have a look.
Yes, test carried out okay, God. Thank you very much.
I spoke to him later on in the night on the phone, about 9 o'clock. He was arranging to get time off work because his brother was coming down for the weekend. And that's the last time I spoke to him. They told me that he'd gone to the wrong points, and he was speaking to a man on the panel on a portable phone, and he apparently said,
Can you try the points, mate?
Can you try 845, John, please?
Not normal in 845.
And there's no normal, Brian.
Yeah, just leave him like that.
I've got the 2315 Paddington to Reading coming down, and he's fast to Slough. I've got the 2315 Paddington to Reading coming down, and he's fast to Slough.
I'll only be a second.
he apparently said, leave the points as they were. I'll only be a few minutes.
I'll only be a second. Brian, watch out, Brian!
And then the man on the panel heard the train go by, and Brian was dead.
Brian, watch out, Brian!
Jack is my son. He's only 3. I couldn't tell him. I've never to this day told him his dad's dead. I told him that he won't be coming home. He's gone to live in heaven now, because he's a special man and he's needed in heaven now. He used to hit me and tell me to go and get his dad. Tell me I was horrible not letting his dad come home. And then he sort of calmed down a bit. He carries a picture around all the time when we're indoors, telling whoever's there, this is my daddy. And the last time he really spoke about his dad was yesterday morning, early hours of the morning. He sort of woke up in bed, sat up. He just said, I haven't seen you for ages, Daddy. And then just lay back down and went to sleep. Never happens to anybody again. Never. I hope people, any man that works on the rail, or woman, for that fact, just takes proper precaution, proper safety precautions, so it never happens again.
I had the accident as far as I could see through a momentary lapse of concentration, and that's all it takes to have an accident.
Have you got any messages, Nicole, for any other staff who work on the tracks who think this could never happen to me?
Oh, it can. It can happen to them. And they've got to think safety all the time. If it can happen to Brian, it can happen to anybody. Just never let your guard down. Never. I never thought anything would happen to him.
Next April, some revised British Rail rules are going to be introduced. But we're introducing some new instructions for S&T from January. The new instructions you're going to see are designed to make it much safer for everyone working on the track. Until now, walking near the track to reach a location or site of work has not been defined as work, so it didn't require the appointment of a lookout. Work now includes any engineering or technical activity, including patrolling, inspecting and examining. Work also includes a group walking on or near the line, where an authorized walking route is not available, in order to reach or leave a location where engineering or technical work takes place. And we define group as meaning 2 or more people. So from now, any engineering or technical activity, including walking, patrolling, inspecting and examining, is defined as work.
Right lads, this is the place of safety. The line speed's 20 miles an hour and Dave, I want you to be the lookout and go and position yourself down there at the bridge hole first. Okay.
And because it is, that means adopting the correct safety procedure every time. Up to now, although the rule book covers it in general,
You're the lookout.
there is no set procedure for informing the rest of the group about the safety arrangements. The pie cow isn't necessarily the senior person in the group. The senior person can nominate a suitably qualified member of the group to be pie cow. The pie cow must identify themselves to the rest of the group. The pie cow's briefing must cover the following 9 points.
Okay lads, we're going to examine these points over here.
Line speeds, the direction of traffic, the exact nature of the work, the protection arrangements required and the exact method of warning.
Warning will be means of the whistle. Could you just try your whistle, Jamie? Okay, and the warning time we'll be working to is 15 seconds.
They must also give a description of the route to be taken from the entry point onto the line to the site of work. They must identify lookouts. They must detail hazards on the route and at the site, as well as the position of safety. They must detail means of communication with emergency services. If the work site is continually changing, the pie cow must consider the whole area involved, the protection arrangements necessary, and rebrief when necessary. So, from now, the pie cow must give a safety briefing to everyone in the group before they go near the track.
Line 60 miles an hour, direction of travel this way.
Until now, you've not been required to report to the signalman on arrival at site. When staff are called to attend a failure that makes it necessary for them to work on or near the line, they must report their arrival immediately to the signalman from a position of safety.
Hello, signalman. Yeah, this is the S&T technicians. Arrived on site to check the fault on your tracks.
Hello sir, S&T technicians arrived. Just have a look at your number 17 points.
Or, if it's practical, by visiting the signal box. So, from now, you must report your arrival to the signalman before you go on or near the line. Until now, it has been common practice to work on the track at night when called by the signalman while trains are still running. All staff called to work on or near the line during the hours of darkness, poor visibility, or where adequate protection cannot be afforded, must use the provisions of Section B451 of the Rule Book, and from April 1992, B461. Additionally, the pie cow must reach a clear understanding with the signalman as to which line or lines are closed to traffic and whether any other line or lines remain open, ensuring the signalman makes an entry in the train register.
Hello. Hello, it's Andy Dexter, S&T. Can I have a B451 possession on the up and down through road, please? We're working on this signal.
Okay, I'll go to the traffic, yeah, and I'll put the reminder on me. Get your points covered on now. I'll give you a ring back when it's done. Okay? Okay, and cheers now.
Where practicable and beneficial, the pie cow must arrange for disconnections to restrict signal aspects to red and appoint a lookout with limited lookout duties appropriate to the situation. The pie cow must inform the signalman when the passage of trains may be resumed. So, from now, use the provisions of Section B of the rule book. The pike owl should reach a clear understanding with the signalman which lines are open and closed, appoint a lookout, and inform the signalman when the closed lines can be reopened.
Okay.
Until now, some tasks of a minor nature could be done with a minimum warning time of 15 seconds. The pike owl must arrange lookout protection either to provide a minimum warning time of 25 seconds or, if satisfied that the activity can be safely suspended, a minimum warning time of 15 seconds. So, from now, the minimum warning time needed for most activities is 25 seconds. And don't forget, additional time must be allowed in restricted areas. To sum up, here are the main points again. We must always have a lookout. We now have brand new definitions for what is defined as work and what a group is. We are introducing track safety briefings and a new instruction requiring you to report to the signalman whenever you're called to work on or near the line. There are new instructions regarding line blockages during site work and minimum warning times. These instructions, introduced for S&T as from January, are designed to make it much safer for everyone.